morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome along to episode 108 of the Sofamanager Scottish Football Podcast. An episode in which you'll no doubt be blown away by all the wonderful content.
Well, hey.
We hope you're all safe, by the way, and nothing too bad went wrong. We're pre-recording before the windy storm on Friday. We just got our alerts about an hour ago. Did you get your alerts about an hour ago?
First person to text me in weeks.
Okay. Along with plenty of self-deprecation on this week's show, we will be talking all about last weekend's Scottish Cup fixtures and what went on there. We will also be talking about the potential Welsh Cup and the implications that it might have. Probably not, but it certainly might too. And I came into some interesting statistics about attendances in sport over the last few years. It did originally come from ice hockey, by the way. I'm not just traipsing for that. So that's where that came from. So we will discuss the major boom there has been in lower league football, and also why women's football might be doing so well in sort of key demographics and things like that. Anyway, joining myself, Paul, is our local gallivanter and social media manager. It is John. Hello, John.
Hello, Paul.
You've had a very busy week, haven't you?
A little bit, aye. Kind of bouncing about, trying to boost the stats as we go.
So I know that your Footballogy last year read 51 games.
51 games, which is a little bit less than the year before, so it was a bit.
But that must scratch at the 52 itch, like one a week sort of ratio, doesn't
this is it. It's kind of safeguarding for the rest of the year. Hit them all now.
Yeah, when it's absolutely bitterly cold. Like particularly the Cameron Juniors game the other night must have been freezing.
That was bitter. Really bitter. We will get on to it and the panic that was beginning to ensue as the game went on. But
we were also at the Falkirk game as well, so we'll talk about that and how much I love Dylan Easton, not as a technical footballer, but just as a general wind-up merchant. And the draw for the next round. Anyway, if you do enjoy the show, please like and subscribe. Give us a follow on Instagram as the main social media platform. Do we have TikTok?
No
TikTok. Okay. Well, but now the US audience is still there, John. You know, it could be for the taking. You never know.
I'm sure the CCP are interested in
Anyway, no, we've got an attack submarine to sort that out. Anyway, let's get straight on with things, shall we? Oh, glory be. Right, so it was the third round. The third round?
Fourth round.
The fourth round of the Scottish Cup.
I hope it was the fourth round.
Was it the third round of the FA Cup the week before? Maybe that's where I'm getting mixed up.
I didn't confuse things.
It was the fourth round of the Scottish Cup last weekend. Plenty of fixtures, not too many interesting ones. We were apparently at one of the picks of the weekend.
Yeah, allegedly. That kind of demonstrates how poor, or maybe not poor, but uninspiring the draw may well have been.
To point out, we were at Falkirk versus Wraith Rovers, which Premier Sports decided to select for their coverage. It's a very uncommon fixture. It's not one that's happened many times this year. One that's probably been on television in the not too distant past either. So yeah, Falkirk versus Wraith. Weren't any particular upsets of the round that I recall?
No.
Which is what the media are always after. I suppose the Wraith game might have been one of the more surprising ones?
Maybe. I think that the purpose of that pick was probably it was the most competitive game in terms of two teams in the same league. Barry Robson obviously coming in as the new manager of Wraith.
Was that who the new manager was?
That was their new manager.
I did not know. That makes so much more sense on the punditry front then, doesn't it?
Why they actually played all right.
Right, I see. So I quite like Barry. It's an interesting appointment.
I actually thought it was a really good appointment. So that probably set the tone for that pick in that game.
Yeah.
You're right that I was a bit disappointed that the Hibs Clydebank game wasn't on the telly. I was saying that as an armchair pundit from a kind of Hibs in particular.
Sofa pundit, one might say.
Yeah, indeed. But from a kind of Clydebank point of view, from a Hibs point of view, I was just magic. That'd been a 3 o'clock on a Saturday. Yeah. I think it was well over 2,000
Clydebank
fans were through to open up the top upper tier.
I saw that.
The away stand Easter Road. So, I mean, that's tremendous. That's exactly what you want to see at this stage of the tournament. I think that's absolutely magic. Same with the kind of Elgin Aberdeen game. It was a kind of 3 o'clock on the Saturday. Wasn't disrupted by the TV. It looked like a really good crowd inside Borough Briggs, which is again exactly what you want at this stage of the tournament. But we went along to the Falkirk game. I don't know about you, but I found it exceptionally boring.
So the football was pretty dreadful,
Yep.
and I actually realised how much of a neutral I am. That, I was especially going through 90 minutes. I was begging. I was like, please,
I think we all were. We all were.
If Wraith had scored, I would have clapped, got up, and left. That would have been the ideal finish. It was some pretty dreadful football. And I know that you're there at Falkirk week in, week out. Is it usually better than that?
So up until I was actually talking to my dad about this, trying to kind of the kind of backstory at the moment at Falkirk is obviously Callum Morrison is putting a transfer request, which they have reluctantly accepted, which seems to be
he's kind of done his bit, hasn't he?
He has, and so there is a weird feeling about the club or the team just now that it's difficult to put your finger on 100% what's going on. Maybe a few of the guys are a little bit unsettled. Maybe they're starting to believe their own hype. It's difficult to really know. But certainly, the Wraith game on Sunday, going back to maybe the Dunfermline game at Christmas, there's a bit of kind of a plateauing, a bit of kind of teams are beginning to kind of figure out how to play against us, and we haven't adjusted to that yet. That's breeding a bit of kind of anxiousness because of where we are in the league, and you're thinking, right, we're on for a title challenge here, all hands to the pump, and you're kind of flagging at this moment, and you're thinking, oh God, what's going to happen? So it's a little bit kind of unsettled, but we'll see what happens. I think if Morrison leaves, we desperately need to get a replacement in of a reasonable calibre, and also a new midfielder in, and Michael McKenna also has to depart the scene immediately.
Not a fan.
Poor guy's just not up to it at this level. Like, they harm with the guy. Like, he's trying his best. He's been thrown into it. At near enough every game he's came on as a sub, and in nearly every game he's not really done very much.
Yeah.
So it's not really his fault. It's just circumstances. But he is a factor now of the frustration.
Yeah. And
this all needs to be kind of ironed out pretty quickly before Falkirk fans turn into usual Falkirk fans and we become miserable gits again.
Oh, well, I did like how the bloke behind us in particular was really dictating the play.
It was like a deferred commentary.
Oh my gosh. Why didn't you pass to McKeever? I was like, he's offside. Would you just... it's
like a nice pass as it sails like 10 yards over the guy's head. Like.
So bad. See, I was interested to see how it went because game on the telly, this is usually your chance to put yourself in the shop window. A lot of English clubs probably have a Premier Sports, or their scouts at least probably have a Premier Sports subscription. And I thought they put out a strong team, which they did kind of mix one or two things up. I think Argument was a bit of an experiment.
Well, so this is initially, yep, absolutely.
But apart from that, it was pretty strong.
So I know, kind of flicking back to see what we beat Wraith 3-1, October time roughly. Aggieman scored 2 and Ross also started, so it was basically almost the same starting 11 that played Wraith in the league game at home. So I don't know if that was in his thoughts going into the game, but that meant that sort of Calvin Miller, Callum Morrison, who came on at half time, were benched, and you could argue that they are actually your two better wingers. Maybe that's why Morrison's leaving. Maybe he's a wee bit kind of agitated that he's spending a lot more time on the bench than he thinks he should be. I'm not sorry to be out of the cup, but I'm disappointed in the manner in which we lost that game.
Yeah. Again, the only 2 times I've seen them, they got beat at Livingston after getting bullied off the park.
Aye.
Here they were bullied, especially in the first half.
They couldn't handle the press.
I'm not going to any other Falkirk games anytime soon. People will be pleased to hear. So I'm sure your winning streak will continue. But I was just shocked about the whole play out from the back thing was just strangling them in the first half. And everyone was so deep in their own half with players that weren't comfortable on the ball at all. And I do think early on still Wraith could have had a penalty.
Not for the Easton dive.
He kicks him and then he doesn't get any of the ball. To me, it's not a lot of contact, but
I'm not even going to dignify this.
I haven't watched it back. I did mean to watch it back before this, and then couldn't be bothered. But I in the modern game,
he took a dive, 100%.
But so Wraith, and this is the thing about the Championship, for all their pressure, all their possession, there was one point Hogarth was quite some distance from his goal.
Yeah, somehow.
And there was still no danger of them putting this in the back of the net.
Yeah, some save. It's pure luck, really.
Yeah,
but
like their finishing was pretty toothless.
And then the Falkirk goal was an error, a defensive error.
An error?
Aye, significant error. He passed it to the striker.
Have you seen the journalistic reviews of just a howler? Is pretty much what everyone conclusively said. And I didn't actually realise it was Sam Stanton who made the mistake and also got the goal.
Yes, and it's actually a really good finish. It's yet another corner that Falkirk don't defend. That's another big issue.
Yeah.
Basically, that kind of his volley takes it to 1-1, and then they get their penalty in extra time, which again is an absolute stonewaller.
I've not seen it back, so
it's 100%.
I know at the time you were thinking that Hokard could have done a bit better with where he directed the rebound.
Yeah, I mean it's a shot he would have struggled to take into his body, like to actually catch it. But he parries it like right back into the danger area. There's no...
And there's nobody there to shut it up.
Yep, so that's why Mackey's had to kind of dive in. He's made the tackle. It is a penalty, no question about it. But the save is suspect in that, in my opinion. I may be being a wee bit too harsh, but the way he parries it right back into the penalty spot. Yeah, basically. And the mid... I can't remember who the Wraith player was running in, but he was there, picked up, stonewaller. Easton then converts the penalty to make it 2-1.
Goes right up to the goalie.
Well, yeah, this is it. I never really realised this at the time, but he's absolutely bamming up Hogarth after it. So I have no idea what was said, but
I don't think that's great form. And fair play to Hogarth for not just bapping him in the face at that point, which I would kind of have loved to have seen.
It's bang out of order. Easton going up to Hogarth and giving him it.
Yes.
However, I have no idea if Hogarth maybe said something to him beforehand, in which case it's fair game.
Yeah, but this is the drama.
That's a cup game.
And then the hilarity of the Wraith Ultras storming towards
an empty stand,
an empty part of the Falkirk stand.
It's tremendous.
And that was another thing about the game is, see, without the Ultras, that would have been dead. There would have been no atmosphere at all. So fair play to them for doing that. I do wonder how much of them you can hear from the Wraith end.
Vice versa, really.
Yeah, vice versa. But it felt like a friendly. None of us wanted to be there. We'd all paid our money because it's a cup game. So they go through to the next round. I think that was a fair result in the end of things.
I totally agree. I think
Falkirk did have a few chances late on.
We did, but we lost the game in the first half. We were just so poor, and
they got lucky with the first goal.
Yeah, and
that should never, ever, ever, ever have happened in professional football.
I totally agree. And Wraith marshalled us really, really well in the first half. They stood off us the first 5 minutes of the second half, which made us look better than what we actually were. Yeah. So fair play to them. They've got their glamour tie against Celtic at Parkhead.
Oh, is that who they play?
Which is actually going to be on the telly as well. That's
Celtic get an awful lot of home games. I feel like I can't imagine.
So Rangers, oddly enough, if we're going to have balance in this.
I feel like I've seen Rangers go to one or two places in the past, but home to Fraserburgh was a bit of a weird one.
Home to Fraserburgh, and then they're at home to Queen's Park in the next round. That is so the TV companies have released their fixtures. So the good news is that the air Hibs game's on the telly.
Okay.
Friday night on BBC. So, I mean, I'm going to be in Gran Canaria, so I don't really care. But
seeing Las Palmas.
I'll maybe try and find a kind of VPN to get BBC Scotland.
If you'd like to sponsor the Sofamanager Scottish Football Podcast and you are a VPN operator, get in touch.
Yes.
Seems to be very common these days.
If you work for something called GoHanger.
It's alright, okay.
Like I said, Celtic Wraith game's a Saturday 5:30 kickoff. That's not too bad.
No. Good for them.
Like I say, glamour friendly, there should be a decent crowd there.
No hope. Congratulations to Celtic this week, by the way, for securing their Champions League playoff place, which they're claiming is the first knockout football since that. And I'm like, is it knockout football though? Because this round didn't previously exist.
Well, this is the funny bit, because this is almost like
this is a play-in round, essentially.
It's like a round of 32, but it's not 32. It's
previously you qualified for the round of 16, and that's what made it so challenging and so prestigious. Yeah. Now, everyone in their gran, apart from Man City, actually I might eat those words, have got in. So, congratulations then. That's huge for Scotland.
Yeah,
what has been a dreadful year for the co-officials.
It's not been helped a lot along the way.
Anyway, congratulations, Celtic.
Yeah, absolutely. Other kind of games, Aberdeen Dunfermline's on the TV. I don't know if you're interested in that or not.
Well, I totally forgot about this, but this is a somewhat of a Jimmy Calderwood
of course.
affair.
Yeah, jeez.
The terrible news last week in Dennis Law as well. Jimmy Calderwood was the manager of Aberdeen when I started supporting that team.
Yep.
So he to me was the character, and they mentioned in the article the famous Bayern Munich game, which will be the game of my life, when they drew 2 each, and that entire team, I don't think I'll ever have a connection with any other team like I did that team. And he himself was such a character, and I know that when you waited for the New Year's, what was the comedy?
Only an excuse.
Only an excuse.
Yeah.
He always appeared in like full, well, not him.
Jonathan Watson.
Yeah,
was,
full fake tan.
Yep.
Going at the Jimmy Calderwood. So yes, very sad to hear of that news. But he's made so many happy memories. So yeah, it's an interesting one. A bit of a step up for Aberdeen after sort of breezing past Elgin.
Yep.
So hopefully the confidence have continued to have come back
But you only got to
at that point.
keep it lasting for a couple of weeks and see.
That is a potential banana skin though. But then Dunfermline are in an interesting spot as well.
Well, it's new owners and a new manager for them.
Yes. Tidzer's an interesting...
I hate Tidser.
He's had a lot of experience at that level.
Really dislike the guy. Like he is the kind of he came through in that kind of sort of kind of crop of players. Really, like, it's like him, the manager at Morton now. He was at Hamilton.
Dougie
Emery. Who else was an absolute wind-up merchant at the time? There was a few.
See,
they were.
this is the thing.
It's missed in football. Like Dylan Easton is almost that kind of character now. But
if his finishing wasn't so dreadful,
aye,
he'd have
if
way
he
more
had the
back up.
talent to back it up.
I looked up his stats because I was like, he must have had a good run somewhere.
He's just not. He was at Airdrie and he played well at Airdrie.
Yes,
And then he went to Wraith and he's
Wraith has been
his level. Like,
yeah. This championship, I think there was a brief spell at Ross County or something like that, but never really played. So this is about the highest he's come, but this is what Falkirk lack, is the Scott Brown character of the team
it's
to
a
get
bit
the
of dig.
grit.
We only good kind of a good bit of dig in midfield since Tom Taiwo. And you're going back at least that's coming up for 10 years.
Aye. Whereas basically that's the entirety of Livingston's team, essentially. They had a bit of an upset. They beat Ross County, didn't they?
Extra time. See, this is the good thing I was going to mention as well that came out of this from a Falkirk perspective.
Yes.
You would never know a Falkirk fan. But basically, like fair enough, Ayr scooshed through, no problem.
Yes.
Absolutely demolished Broxburn. However, Livingston having to travel all the way up to county, play 120 minutes,
Go all the way back.
get through, and they're going to have a winnable game against Cove Rangers in the next round.
Yeah.
Which means they'll play another game. You know, these are like extra games that Falkirk no longer need to deal with.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, when you're coming to the very end of the season, if it's still really tight,
This helps.
you know, is there maybe going to be a bit of fatigue, bit of injuries on their side? Are we going to be fresher?
Have you seen that the Livingston are the darlings of Radio 1 though?
Are they?
Yes. So the newsreader on BBC Radio 1 is a Scotsman called Callum Leslie.
Right.
A proud attendee of Inverarmond High School. He obviously survived that. Well done, Callum. And obviously comes from Livingston. So he's got a bit of an in there. So Greg James is the host. So there's been a bit of like back and forth. He's got a top with like James 1 on the back.
Right.
And they gave him a calendar as well. So he read all the names out on air. And he, like Jefferson Montano, I thought was interesting because we've always called him Montano.
Yeah.
But he was excited because he read out all the scorers at the weekend, and they played back the Livingston commentator, who I think is actually really good and animated. And I still love the whole Tete Yenge to Saturday night when he scored against Falkirk. I thought that was tremendous. So Greg James was very excited about reading all the players' names. But I thought, if you read out all the names from the calendar, you've read out 12 names, and there was 3 scorers at the weekend, so your chances were quite high. But this is probably the only time Andrew Shinney's name has ever been mentioned on BBC Radio 1 before. So
Probably the only time Livingston's been mentioned.
Potentially yes. But it's exciting to see, you know, some attention drawn to them. So yes. What other ties have we not gone through? Hearts obviously beat Brecon.
Hearts beat Brecon. So that's been the only one we've really kind of. Well, I've certainly watched. I've not really watched anything else. I think it was comfortable in the end. Professional win.
Yep.
Any old trope you want to throw out from there. But the Brecon young Scott Bright, his goal for Brecon. Have you not seen it?
Oh yes, that one. I thought you meant
absolutely.
Hearts, but I was like, yeah.
Kind of catches it. Sweet as a nut. It's a great goal.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. And the fact it was scored and all the Brecon fans were behind the goal, that made it for me. Because it was like the weekend at end terrace is just bouncing.
But at least you get your moment. You're
you
ahead.
have your moment. You have your cup moment. It's
You've got your
brilliant.
wonderful goal. Who cares if they score 4 after that? You know, you were beating Hearts,
Yeah.
which is the highest point that they've been in quite some time, probably.
Absolutely.
Although they're doing quite well these days in the Highland League.
Highland League, so it's them and God forgive me, maybe Brora are
Right.
kind of sort of one first and second challenging for the title there. I think Brecon are still calling them a money club is not right, but they have a little bit more finance behind them than other Highland League teams, so they're really desperate to get out of that. That regional league and back into the SPFL. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Well, all very exciting.
As long as you keep East Kilbride, they're in the Lowland League.
Yeah, you're not a big fan. So who did Hearts go on to play?
Hearts going to play St Mirren at St Mirren.
Who did St Mirren beat?
They won 3-1 against.
This one totally passed me by.
Sorry.
It totally passed you by.
Yeah,
with the
Queen of the South.
All right, I don't know. I had no idea that fixture was occurring.
Away to Queen of the South.
All right. Well, it's exciting. Who did Rangers get again? Oh yeah, Queen's Park, wasn't it?
Yeah, comfortable one.
Aye, and Motherwell
got beat
by Celtic, did they? No.
St Johnstone.
St Johnstone.
They took something like, again, a massive away support up to St Johnstone.
This is probably the last big deal of their season, though, isn't it? Like,
beat. I think the seas coming out the stands was enough to kind of chase a storm away here.
Yes.
Quite fundamental that. So, yeah, I've no time for Motherwell either, but that's a legacy issue for a Falkirk fan.
They're the only ones that are going to develop the new Scottish talent at the moment, so we've got to support them. Well, we eagerly anticipate the next round then, don't we?
Aye, yeah. I'll look forward to it when I'm got a margarita in my hand. And
there you go, Gran Canaria.
Gran Canaria.
Now you're not guilty about missing another Falkirk game. Well,
I am now because they're playing Partick. They've moved the fixture.
Oh, they've rearranged. Yeah, that was always going to happen, wasn't it? But speaking of, you have been to 3 games this past week.
Yes.
So you went to...
I've been to 4, technically.
4?
Oh. So it was a game on Saturday. I was at Bonus on Saturday.
Oh, yes.
Which was terrific.
Yes.
I really enjoyed that. That was a low league fixture against East Kilbride, oddly enough. They got beat 4-2.
So this is the perfect storm for you.
It is really. I mean, East Kilbride are...
Did you get a glimpse of Mickey Lynch? Not Mickey Lynch, what's his name? He's the railway guy, isn't he?
It's very different characters, I think.
He's retiring, by the way.
Mick Kennedy.
Mick Kennedy. I knew it was Mick something.
Mick Kennedy. Lynch. Yeah, not only did I get a glimpse of Mick Kennedy, I got to see him get booked on the touchline.
Oh, did you?
Tremendous. This is some of the best bits about like going to non-league games, which we'll kind of delve into. But as a kind of an anecdote, 2 really funny things happened in the Vaughan game. So first and foremost, there's a corner swung in, East Kilbride corner. The Bonus keeper poleaxed his defender, like punched him square in the chin.
Lovely.
Lying flat out. Ref never gave a head knock. He just let the game play on.
Oh, right, aye.
So there was obviously the old geezers shouting abuse at the linesman for not flagging. Blatant head knock. It really...
But when you've done it to your own man...
I mean, it was funny, but it was like...
Yeah,
he could have really
do something about that, yeah.
And then, so later on in the first half, a ball goes out for a throw in the kind of touchline just beside the away dugout. And for what, like, I don't know what Mick Kennedy was thinking about. Just picks up the ball. I forget the Bonus's player. Standing like 2, like as close as we are.
Yes.
And just launches it at his head. Just cracked him square in the face.
Yeah.
Like, lucky not to be sent to the stands, although
there are no stands.
It wouldn't be any difference, to be honest.
Unless you're
going to tell me to stand in the car park, there's no difference there. But it was a great game, really entertaining. Bonus actually took the lead. The guy chipped the goalkeeper for the edge of the box.
Right.
So a massive sort of cross ball over. Bonus's number 11, again, the name has completely escaped me.
They've not got names on the back of their shirts?
Nah, it's all... It's just,
of course they don't have names on the back.
They've got squad numbers, but don't have the names on the back.
No, of course they don't.
Camlin did, but we'll get to that again.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I don't know why or how, because that's at even lower level.
Yeah, I know.
He managed to see the keeper just off his line and he just dinked it over him. It was
great.
Brilliant. And then right for kick-off, East Kilbride equalised.
Oh, what a waste of everything.
Couldn't believe it. It was really good. It's really affordable to go. It's a tenner to get in, a cup of coffee, or whatever you're after. Brilliant. If you can't get to if you support a bigger team, find the lower league teams and go and watch them. It's far more enjoyable, really.
Yeah. Well, this brings us on to, again, big ice hockey fan. So all the tweets midweek were about there's some statistics survey that's out, and I think ice hockey was like 6th or 7th. You want to guess? Oh no, you've read the article, haven't you?
Read is a bit of a stretch.
It was interesting that football was top, and by miles, like
it's like millions,
huge,
literally millions.
And then second would flip flop between horse racing and rugby.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that.
But see, club rugby is a thing. Horse racing's way more seasonal than rugby is.
I think the thing with horse racing is when the events happen, it's hundreds of thousands of people.
Well, that's the thing. I think motorsport was the one that was ahead of ice hockey.
Right.
And Silverstone Formula 1, I think, is still the biggest one-day event of the year.
They have it was well over 250,000 over the weekend.
Something ridiculous. And then the Grand National, Wimbledon, all that jazz. So, anyway, what these statistics showed was, growth in terms of attendance and things in the top leagues is pretty stagnant. Premier League, you can kind of understand the argument was that they were at capacity. Yes. Scottish Premiership
flat.
Was total zero.
I did notice that.
But the only graph that was total zero. But there was growth in the Scottish Championship, which we think was from last year.
Yeah, I mean, the obvious thing is it was probably
Dundee
United coming down, which is as an average, would have been a lot higher than it would have been the previous season.
But there was big growth in the Football League down south, and there was big growth in non-league as well. And we kind of wanted to delve into kind of why that was. And actually, just listening to you talk there was much more joie about the Bo'ness game than there was about the Falkirk game.
Yeah, for me, this is the attraction. I actually think there's a very small bit is happening, kind of sea change between people wanting to go to the big games like the English Premier League or whatever. One, for affordability. I think it's just becoming far too expensive for an average football enthusiast fan to kind of go to these kind of games now. Even at like English Championship, you're paying 35-40 quid a ticket, which is outrageous. I mean, absolutely outrageous.
If I'm not seeing an international for that money, I'm like...
There's pointless. I mean, I remember, it must have been this time 2 years ago, went down to Blackpool, and we're actually going to go to the Charlton Morecambe game and then drive up for that, but postponed. We went, I was like, right, last minute, we'll go and watch Blackpool, who were playing Birmingham.
Right.
£38 a ticket. 38 quid a ticket to watch two middling English Championship teams in the freezing cold. One and done, basically. That's outrageous. But at the same rate, there was probably sort of National League North or even sort of step 1, step 2 down in England that you're paying £10, £11 to go in and watch it.
Yeah.
And you can stand on the terraces, you can have a pint actually with you.
Yes.
On the terraces, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And you're still watching football. You're watching guys who actually want to play football just for the fun of it, for the enjoyment, for the passion.
They're ridiculous.
They're not seeing it as that's not their job. It's just something they want to do, and they'll give it 100%.
Yeah.
And that's great. It is far more enjoyable.
Well, that's the thing. Like, when I was thinking about this the other day, I think the closest thing, like, we went to a Linlithgow Rose game a couple of years ago. That was great fun. You're stood in the terrace, you can kind of move about if you want.
That helps as well.
Which is something that you actively do. And again, follow Sofamanager on the social media. There's been some great sort of ground tours from different perspectives in terms of your stories and things like that. Not your stories, reels. I'm down with the kids, I promise. I
couldn't tell you the difference.
Well, you can probably see it as a story as well. So yeah, it's a bit more casual, it's a bit more relaxed, and again, the quality of the football, you kind of actually realise there's not huge differences,
It's fitness as opposed to technical ability in a lot of respects.
Until you get to the top level when it, it really does somersault. But in Scotland, Premiership, Championship is not a million miles apart from, these other teams.
You're right.
In terms of entertainment, especially.
Entertainment in particular, like I say, the kind of technical ability improves as you go up. I think particularly now the kind of high levels they're almost kind of overcoached. It's pass and pass and pass. There's no one taking the ball and running, taking up a defender on. I completely forget when I either heard the comment or read the comment, but it was valid nonetheless. It was you never see wingers take on fullbacks when they've been booked. Now, if your right back's been booked,
go for it.
You should be going for him, but they never do it because that is not the tactics. It's
the whole crossing game's kind of dead.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. it's like I say, it's overcoaching, it's overthinking it
Yeah.
for something that's actually quite simplistic, particularly in Scotland, where it's just,
Yeah.
you know, that's frustrating. But when you're kind of watching, like I say, non-league, that thing will still happen, and they will bam the guy up and wind him up to no end to get him sent off, or kind of get them all kind of rattled. And you will get the kind of meaty challenges every now and again, and they'll be kind
What
of
would be a
through.
straight red in the professional game?
You're not going to sit and argue about whether he's like big toe was offside or anything like that at that kind of level. It's
Not when the coach is the linesman,
you're doing well to even get linesmen at that some kind of level. So like,
none of this VAR nonsense.
I mean, like I went to Armadale just before Christmas. It was just two club officials for either club standing at kind of the halfway line with a flag. And that was your linesman.
That's what it always was.
That's what it should be like
in the high school days. So you've managed 4 games in a week. 5 games in a week. Linlithgow Rose, I think, was your next one on the Tuesday night, was it?
The Tuesday, yep. Another kind of was extra time and penalties. My God, it was a slog.
What competition was this in?
So this is the East of Scotland Qualifying Cup.
Right.
Which I've actually seen Linlithgow win not too long ago. So
you kind of followed the journey a wee bit, didn't you?
I did.
You got Pennycook for that or something?
That was the finals at Pennycook.
I remember.
It was Gallifreydon and they played in the final.
There you go.
It was a cracking day, the weather-wise. That's what I remember.
We'll get back to that, John, in seasons.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a bit more of a slog after everything I've said about how good entertaining it is.
All right, okay.
Linlithgow, a lot of the possession, just couldn't put the ball in the net.
Right.
Civil service were the one they'd really in it, never really created an awful lot. But the Rose goalkeeper had these moments, shall we say.
Okay.
So
keeps it interesting.
It could have went either way, but it was basically like dragged this way all the way to penalties, to the point where you're like, this was about 10:30 at night.
Nobody wants to be there.
Nobody's wanted to be there. Like people are kind
they want to get home for work in the morning.
People are drifting away. So basically, civil service, I think, are taking it first. Saved.
Right.
Wow.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Rose scored. They scored, and then Rose missed. The keeper saved it. You're like, oh God, I'm going to be here all night.
22 penalties
I've already
taken.
suffered 120 minutes in the Falkirk game on the Sunday. I'm now going through it again on the Tuesday night.
When's that ever happened? Back-to-back extra times.
Just it kept going on. But anyway, we got to the point where civil service said, boy, he basically had to score to kind of keep it going.
Yeah.
Now, at this point, you're lucky if there's 50 folk left.
Oh God.
And I've got this old guy standing beside me and he's just shouting, no pressure, no pressure, miss this and you're out. Just, it was echoing because the stadium was that
There's
empty.
no empty there.
And it obviously got in the boy's head because he scalped the crossbar.
Oh, did he? That boy will be patting himself on his back.
It's just shut over his head and that was him. And it was like, I couldn't believe it. It was so funny. That's the kind of thing you get. It was just like, right, fine, wanted to get home. And at this point, like, I'm absolutely freezing cold.
Chittering.
He's doing. I'm just like, just get me back home. And I hear somebody shouting, John. I'm like, well, can it be for me?
Someone else.
Can it be for me? Who on earth am I going to know in Linlithgow? Like,
yeah.
It's we went to school with Blair. It took me a minute. I was like, Jesus, like,
yeah.
How you doing, John? Shake my hand. I was like, I feel so sorry, Blair, because I know he listens to the podcast now.
Sorry about that.
I was so startled. I appreciate I was havering nonsense more than I normally do.
Yeah.
But it was lovely to see you. I was just caught me off guard. It was quite. It was really nice to see him. Like I say, I haven't seen him in ages, so that was class. I kind of made the evening.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, it was good. So that was my Tuesday.
So if you do want to spot John, listeners and viewers, you just need to find an obscure game in the central Scotland area.
What you want to do is download the Footballogy app. Just see who's checked into your game and you'll see me.
Oh right, you'll follow. Aye, I never thought about that as in terms of a social thing. Because particularly if there's a lot of Footballogy heavyweights, you surely would end up at the same places. Like, that's interesting.
It's a funny one.
But yes, do say hello if ever spotted in public. You're more likely to see John at a football game than you are me, particularly a Falkirk game in the future. But yes, and then you were freezing your natters off at Camlin Juniors.
That was Wednesday as well. God, that was. I was very worried. It got to about 90th minute, and then Cameron finally scored to make it 1-0.
So was this in the same
It was
cup?
the same cup competition. So I was moments away from a third extra time on the bounce. I would have just left. I couldn't have coped.
But I think we've opened a gap in the market here, John, because I don't think many other podcasts are covering the East of Scotland qualifying cup.
I highly doubt it.
I've got our lead title. I think we've got clickbait. Clickbait here.
Couldn't tell you the first thing about it, but nevertheless, I was at 2 games.
What are they qualifying for?
I think that's just the name of the cup.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think the qualifying part's probably you have to be part of the either previously or currently part of the East of Scotland regional.
That's cool. It's another trophy to go for.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a few regional ones. I mean, there's the East of Scotland, there's a West of Scotland Cup, there's the South Challenge Cup, there's the Lowland League Cup, Highland League Cup, there's the North Challenge Cup. I'm trying to think what else there is. There's the what's it called? It's the Dave something. There's the King's Cup.
Okay.
You know, another random thing I have no idea about.
Probably the Queen's Cup or just
I think it's called King's Cup. There's a cup named after some guy's name. Don't know what that's all
some
about.
Sponsorship or something.
Loads and loads of these wee trophies up for grabs in the non-league in Scotland. So
good fun.
All good fun.
Good fun. Curiously enough, the Welsh Cup has been back in the news recently.
Aye, we're kind of another kind of one of my favourite topics. Bloody Wales. Wales. Personal reasons for not liking Wales, namely that I had to look after all their advisors when I was a former employer.
Thought it was a romance story in there, and I was.
I don't know if I could tell the story. I better not. There's a Mafia story about a Welsh advisor, but I'll tell you offline.
Okay.
It's quite good.
Subscribe to the Patreon episodes for that information. No such thing, don't try.
I was someday. Wales.
Wales.
A bunch of daffodil munchers.
So, some of the big teams, namely Swansea, Cardiff, Wrexham and Newport.
Well done. Yep, there you go.
There we go. Are getting a bit bored with their English football. And they want a slice of the European pie.
That's the part.
Yes.
That is the part. 100%. So this is the proposed revamp of the Welsh League Cup.
Yes.
Which it's currently the 12 teams that are participating in the
Welsh Premier League.
Cymru Premier League.
Cymru.
Is it Cymru?
Cymru. Yeah.
Premier League. So that's sort of teams like TNS, Ballatown, Carnarvon.
Okay, we know TNS. I think
these kind of guys. Yeah, who actually
the infamous Declan McManus
don't play in Wales either.
Yeah,
oddly enough. 16 teams. They basically have a League Cup. There'll be a European position attached
to the top.
I don't think I couldn't really find anything that kind of stated whether it's a Europa League or Conference League position. I imagine probably the latter.
Yes, I mean TNS got it this year and qualified, didn't they?
I think that they got that through the league. So
presumably they would offer the top place to this competition.
I think the top team in the league actually gets in the Champions League qualifiers, and they've cascaded their way down to the point where in the Conference League.
End up there, right? Okay.
I think this will be a straight. I mean, like the first round of the Conference League qualifiers, probably.
Right. Okay.
But like you say, Cardiff, Swansea, Newport, Wrexham, particularly Wrexham. This is a nice way in to kind of start making some money out of Europe.
No, it's not.
Well, it kind of is.
No, it's not, because the proposal, they were relatively clear on that they wouldn't be taking any of the European money because that would be unfair from a competition standpoint.
So they were going to take the profit.
They were going to take the logistical money.
Now, do you take is prize money profit?
I would argue yes. This is probably why this falls down to the English FA.
Yeah. So the English FA have to kind of sign off on this. This is our kind of stipulation. The FAW have unanimously agreed to this. All the clubs have unanimously agreed to this. It's down to the English FA whether they want to allow it. If you're the English FA or you're the AFL, I'd be telling them to sling their hook. If you want to go and play in a Welsh competition, you can join the Welsh leagues. Yes.
So I think that was the argument I saw from a lot of fans in terms of, look, you can't have it both ways. You're either you're getting our financial gain. You can't have both. You
can't jump both. I mean, who do you think you are? Like, realistically, that is an absolute disgrace. I mean, there's not much sporting integrity left, but that's a step too far. Like,
so funny enough, I actually discovered information about the Welsh Cup in recent times because infamous footballer Darren Ferguson used to be a stalwart of Wrexham,
Right, okay.
Reynolds and McElhenney.
Wow.
Because I looked him up after the Preston thing on the whole nepotism gate. And I was like, well, was he actually that good of a footballer? And he actually had some pretty reasonable stints for a couple of like all right teams.
Yeah.
He probably shouldn't have had like 50 appearances for Man United. Happens. Didn't mind it so much. And then I discovered that he'd won some trophies. I was like, oh, well, beyond the Premier League, whatever, as a glorified sub. And the Welsh Cup, I looked into it. I was like, oh my goodness, this was like, they all played each other. And it seemed to me quite interesting until it pointed out that none of these big Welsh teams cared about this competition in any way, shape or form because they couldn't get qualification. And you actually looked at, I was trying to find attendances for the finals and stuff, and it was like 5,000-6,000.
It's not much.
And Cardiff might have been involved in these games. And I think Wrexham were the most successful team that did it. But Cardiff, Swansea, etc. didn't take it particularly seriously. And I don't think this has got legs purely from a competition merit. But it does, are we closing in on a time, if TNS got a bit better, that they might want to return to a Welsh league? It would look more interesting with those teams in it.
So, again, I don't know if you kind of read anything beyond the League Cup sort of formatting, but there's two other big deals happening in Welsh football just now.
Right.
So the first one of two, is the FAW are trying to bribe / financially incentivise a team called Merthyr Town to join the Welsh Football League.
Are they not a reincarnation of a previous team or something as well?
They might be. So what I could kind of gather on Merthyr Town is they're the last remaining Welsh residing team to still play in the English non-league pyramid.
Right.
So they play, I think it's a step below National League South, which is the Iceman League.
I know. I remember I used to see the tables on Sky Sports News.
Yeah. So, and there's a fair chance they might get promoted into National League South this season.
All right, they don't want that to happen.
Well, I think Merthyr Town are quite content where they are, but I think the English sort of organisations, I couldn't really find much about whether they are content with them being there as well, or what the kind of script is, but the FAW are quite keen on getting Merthyr Town
out.
Well, into the Welsh League, into the Welsh League system. I mean, they're offering them something like £6 million in financial incentives. This includes, sort of doing redevelopments to Pendragon, or is it Pennydarren Park? I can't say that in a Welsh accent.
Yeah, I don't think you're Welsh.
I'm not very good at Welsh. Borreda is how you say hello.
Oh, there you go.
I only know that because one of the advisors used to answer the phone and instantly throw you away. Borreda, and you go, hi, hello, it's John Colin.
Was that the Mafia one?
No, different one.
We'll get to the bottom of it, listeners. Don't worry. We'll trick him into telling the story.
It'll happen one day. I don't know what the statute of limitations are on funny stories for former employers. It was tremendously funny. Like I said, this kind of like £6 million, whether it's be developing the park, joining the league, all this kind of stuff. I kind of wondered, well, why? And then I started reading a little bit more.
Oh, okay.
It turns out this is the kind of point 2 of 2. Is Cymru,
yes,
or the Cymru Premier League, is expanding to 16 teams.
Oh no, that's radical thinking, listeners.
That's what I put. Cymru is doing something radical. Did you know that?
Radical.
Radical.
No, don't let the pundits hear you talk about that.
I mean, this is fascinating on all sorts of levels, I'm sure, to the listeners or viewers. 16 team league is talked about quite a lot as an alternative for the Scottish top flight.
Yes.
So what they're going to be doing in Wales is you'll play home and away once, so that's 30 games.
Yes.
It'll be then a championship race, which will include the top 6.
Right.
So I assume they'll play home and away again, so there's another 10 games. So you're playing a 40-game league. There's the Euro Challenger, which is 7th to 10th position. So there's another 4 games.
To get the European spot?
Yeah. So they must be taking so if you finish 7th, you're getting Europe. If you finish 6th, you're not getting Europe.
See, that I don't
like that.
No.
I think that's a bit of a joke.
Now, the closest thing to this was Holland used to do something similar to this.
They did, and I'm sure.
But it wasn't like 6th. It was like there was like playoff rounds for like 1st and 2nd, 3rd and 4th or something like that as well. I don't know if they still do that though. That was a while ago.
No, I can't remember because I'm sure the Belgium had a really weird setup for their leagues. But either way, I found that I'd be a bit raging. You would almost want to finish 7th.
Especially with the chances of qualifying. Well, if you get the Conference League qualifying place, you're probably up the duffer anyway.
You're going to be struggling. And then there's the bottom 6, which is the survival zone. Love it. So again,
well,
if you finish with 11th comfortably, you're playing another 10 games that are complete and utter dead rubbers.
It depends how far ahead you are. And do you reset the points?
Well, so yeah, I mean, that's a valid point.
That's what I would like to see us do with our split. Ooh. Yeah, way more exciting. Celtic are gone, right? There's no point, right?
all comes down to the last 5 games.
Exactly. This is like, see all the American sports. Yeah, who cares what you do in the regular season? Can you beat them now? That's what matters. And it'd be, I tell you, like Aberdeen, Hearts, etc. would have a way better chance of winning the league if you just had to turn it on for 5 games.
Yeah, definitely.
That'll never happen.
Nah, and like I said,
which makes the split almost redundant. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I found it kind of bizarre. The other kind of twist on this as well is that the majority of the games are going to get played on a Friday night as opposed to Saturday, Sundays. Now, the League of Ireland do this.
Right.
And I think I imagine the main purpose is you want to step away from the English limelight.
Televised game.
If you're the Welsh authorities, you are changing your league, you're moving to Friday nights.
Yeah.
You're trying to attract Merthyr, and so the reason for that was actually to do with, I think, average attendances.
Are they pretty good?
So Merthyr average around 1,000.
Which would be pretty good.
Their game a couple of weeks ago got a crowd of 1,700. Now, when you compare that to the average attendances of the current Welsh cohort,
even the top teams,
it's like double. You know, I had to look through. I mean, some of them were pretty poor. Like, Colwyn Bay average 714. Now that puts them like what, Scottish League 2, like teams like Steny probably getting that.
Aye.
And like Carnarvon Town, 690 odds. TNS, you want to know how much they had?
1,200.
324.
Really?
Average attendance. Connieski Nomad, 268. Cardiff Met Uni.
They could beat Falkirk.
Yeah.
Cardiff average attendance is like 4,000.
Cardiff Uni had the lowest at 265 average attendance. I mean, that's
it's not like college football.
No.
The way that people turn up to see.
I mean,
there's 50,000 Texas Longhorns fans.
I mean, to be fair,
meanwhile, at Cardiff University, 250 old geezers who don't even go to the university have rocked up to see this.
When you're comparing Cardiff Met Uni to maybe what sort of Stirling Union, what can I get? It's actually quite good to be fair. Decent. But I just thought, right, that's why they're trying to get Merthyr Town in. They're trying to get
bigger clubs,
bigger supported clubs.
They must have realised as well that mistakes were made with Cardiff, Swansea, Wrexham, etc. I don't know how long ago that all.
I don't know the backstory, and
it's way before our time. But to have 4 teams in another league is pretty big. I can't think of, because when this came up, I can't think of any other place in Europe that this happens in terms of.
Not to this extent. I mean, the only example that instantly springs to mind is Vaduz, who are based in Liechtenstein. I mean, that is a principality.
It's a principality, yeah.
It's not even a country.
It's like a San Marino team playing in the Italian leagues.
Yes, 100%. So it's a bizarre setup as it is.
Yeah.
Like I say, I'm never too sure how. Well, I've never asked the question, I suppose, but how England or supporters of English football teams find having Welsh teams in their league. And how would they feel, like, say they swapped out Swansea and Cardiff.
Yeah.
And went, no, if you want to go play in your Welsh League Cup, that's fine, crack on, see you later.
Yeah.
Hey, you've suddenly got 2 spaces there.
Oh, I was thinking this.
Yeah.
I'm
pretty confident. Pretty confident there's a couple up here that would be quite happy to fill that space.
I don't know if they would.
Oh, they would. Oh,
but no.
Yes.
What you have to think about, right, is a Rangers and Celtic team that are not winning leagues season upon season upon season. And the crippling nature that would do to the fan base that is just entirely used to total
domination.
Yeah. Would they ever settle back? I mean, we talked
about this last time.
Yeah,
it was like, who would you roughly settle? I mean, they would settle in top 8. I guess to the point where it's so saturated at the top of that English Premier League because there are clubs of equal size,
and you also need investment beyond You know, and you also think, well, the religious angle would stop people, but I think Paris has like weird ties, and still they're being looked at by massive investment companies.
So this is the kind of it's a different problem, same issue basically.
Yes.
It's I think in Paris it's a political issue as opposed to a religious issue.
Right.
Although you can kind of argue, well, what's a religious issue these days? It's probably a nationalist issue up here. You know, like is it Red Star or massive communists or something like that? I'm not sure. In Paris, and some US private equity tried to buy them years ago when. Oh, is it Qataris that own PSG?
Qataris, yeah.
They had kind of bought, so it was like, well, we'll rival. Nah, they threatened to burn down the stadium. It was proper anarchist attitudes, again, typical Parisian French. We'll just set fire to it.
I think fair play on the Welsh League not just sitting back, because clearly what they're doing is not working. You know, there's not a great deal of interest. I don't think I've ever seen a televised game. I know that inside Wales, it's probably equivalent to us seeing the Championship on a Friday night on Alba or something like that. And that's one thing I was going to say with the statistics survey was that the women's game has grown astronomically. But one clever thing that they do is every time there's an international break, Hibs are playing Hearts, or Sunderland are playing Newcastle, or Rangers are playing Celtic. They put the big derbies on.
And they put them in the stadiums as well.
Put them in the big stadiums, exactly. And that always is a big driver, you know, forward for them. So they're making use of that gap.
True.
Now, Friday night...
It's okay if you're a home fan. A away fan, it's dreadful.
I know. And to do it every week...
You feel like you're losing your weekend. Like,
I lost my Sunday afternoon, John. I was thinking, hey, 12 o'clock kickoff, I'll be home by 2. Put one to that quite quickly, didn't they?
Yeah, a little bit.
So yeah, interesting. It's something different. Really unusual situation that they've lost so many football clubs. Obviously, this is a Wrexham initiative. Be interesting to see when they run out of steam, because I don't think that can be far. Because we've not really seen any team like this propel themselves all the way to the Premier League.
No, this is like a kind of glorified Football Manager save. It's take a team from League 2 to the top. Or not, it was actually National League they started.
It was National League. But the thing is, like, you know, Gretna did this as a squizzle by investing £42,000 and just totally assailing themselves all the way to the Premier League.
Yep.
And I'm trying to think of equivalent. I mean, Germany, I think Hoffenheim was a bit of a similar story. They had a bit of money punched into them, but it was well spent. And they
Heidenheim's probably another one as well.
Heidenheim. So yeah, we will see, and I think this is why this has come about, isn't it?
Oh, it's money. It's how can you extend your Disney Plus series? Hopefully we'll get Wrexham into Europe. Brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, did they buy another club? I'd already read the article, but
are they going full
City Group?
Oh gosh, aye.
It's just I just don't like it.
No,
there's no kind of articulation on that. Just don't like it.
But again, if things aren't working, change it. It's not a bad idea. And I think a lot of people can learn a lot.
Yeah, I take the mick out. I took the mick out of sort of Wales to begin with. I kind of trip to kind of North Wales and actually doing some of those teams is quite high on my list to kind of do and experience. I get where they're coming from.
We've seen enough of them, John. They play in our blimmin' Challenge Cup.
Well, not anymore.
Or did we give up on that when they won it?
I think that's probably why I don't like them so much. I mean, it was Connaskey Nomads
kicked the living life out of Falkirk,
and when we were down at the time as well, absolutely no mercy. Dreadful. Fair play. Like,
well,
good luck.
Indeed. Are there any other calls for business this week, John?
Not a great deal. I haven't really paid much attention to the transfers because
Aberdeen have signed 4 different people that you haven't heard of.
Yeah.
Hearts have signed a defender. I don't think Rangers and Celtic have done anything.
Well, Celtic gets Furahashi's away to Rennes.
Is he?
Yota's coming back, and Tierney's on a pre-contract. Rangers haven't heard.
Don't chant his name, John. Don't be doing that. That's disrespectful.
Is it?
Oh, aye. Don't be doing that.
All right then. He'll be injured before he gets there anyway.
I know. Furuhashi would be a bit of a miss.
I'll be ask as well. How do you feel about the Scotland friendlies since we've got a couple of minutes to spare?
Dismal. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, it's dreadful.
Yeah, we can't find any friends. And like we just play the most garbage teams. All freaking Gibraltar and Portugal last year.
Yep.
And Finland. Like, does he have so little confidence in this group that even the Iceland game actually would probably be a bit of a challenge.
I'm actually worried about that Iceland game.
But like honestly, I think he has the only way he gets these lads' confidence up is try and play the worst teams he can possibly get hold of.
I mean, it's a home game against Iceland to satisfy. You basically have to have the 5 home games in the
ticket office. As soon as they saw that, must have put their head in their hands. Like,
jeez,
Stevie, just get a good. We just need one good team. To push the tickets. For, like,
I mean, imagine if it had been like I know a few people were saying like should have been Germany. Should have been.
Oh, what, to pump us again?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I kind of thought as well.
You were there, John.
I've suffered. I'm still suffering. Still suffering from that.
John doing in the bin just as like 92 minutes kicks over.
Didn't even make it to the bin.
Serves you right, Germany. There you
go.
It
did, to be fair. That's when all went downhill.
There was a nice Welsh Mafia guy there to pick you up, so it was fine.
If you're part of the Genovese family.
Yeah, there you go.
There's somewhere in mid Wales.
They're probably bankrolling the league now. Sifting off the cash. Anyway. Yeah, dreadful. Absolutely dreadful.
I have nothing more to say. Like, if you're lucky enough to get a ticket for the Liechtenstein away game, I'd be quite a good trip. But
you've been there before when Falkirk played for Doos.
I never made it. That's the thing. That's the only reason I'm tempted.
We'll see. Anyway, I have no idea. Hopefully we'll be back on a more regular basis.
Fingers crossed, yes.
Things are a little bit quieter in the professional. Professional's a loose word. So yes, back next week. Hopefully Aberdeen will have won. Falkirk might have continued, and we have something to talk about there. Callum Morrison might have left for pastures new. Who's talked to him? Was there any?
That's the thing. I think he's going to Kilmarnock. Because I think Danny Armstrong's about to leave.
Right. So they signed Calvin Ramsey, which is an interesting one.
That's a good sign.
Linked to McInnes. You think McInnes gets Clement's job if he gets sacked?
Yeah. I've maintained that. Yeah.
Got to get Concodiment on the back of the Rangers top when he's there.
Too many letters.
That is true. Anyway, if you have got to this point in the episode, especially as a Rangers fan, it's a thank you for listening from myself, Paul.
Yeah, cheers guys, all the best.
And do give us a like, subscribe, or follow on all the social medias. Anyway, have a good evening, a good afternoon, and a good morning. Bye. Good night.
I was eating my pasta now.
I went.
Russia's finally snapped.
My mum took a screenshot of it and was like, "Ooh, look what I got!" I was like, "Everybody gets this." Like, Oh, but I heard my tone. No, you heard it echo like around the house. So funny.
It's like I have a friend that waits the Scottish government.
Exactly. I think they've got a missed opportunity. We're talking about that as well.
You can just imagine it.
Well, if they played like the Proclaimers or something like that, that would get your attention. Or the Start of Flower of Scotland. Or to some people, God Save Our King would get a little bit more attention.
They could have had Rain on Me. Was it Travis?
That would have been good. So good. Right, anyway.